YouTube, model railroader fans, I'm Ray. Welcome to the Boeville and Newtown's vlog number 18. It happens to be July 11th, 2017. Back at it. Not a whole lot to discuss. I know I finally hit 150 subscribers, and I said I was going to do something. I haven't gotten to that point yet. So you'll have to pardon me, and especially since there's a couple other contests going on at the moment, maybe we'll just wait. So, at any rate, like I said, this is vlog 18. Not much going on down here in the train room. I can tell you that I got a lot of feedback, positive feedback, between Facebook and YouTube on the new layout plan. I'm sure it's going to be something that'll probably come up again this Saturday when I'm on the live show, but just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there that, you know, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and I do appreciate that. I think, and in fact, I even mentioned it last week that, or even, I don't know if I mentioned it last week or if I said it on Facebook, of all the plans that I've come up with to this point, and like like I talked about, that's number 43. Of them all, that one there seems to make the most of this unique little space that I've got down here. Little space, but you know, there were a lot of there's going to be there's a lot of compromise to that plan as well. If you haven't seen the plan, go back to the vlog 17, or if you want, tune in this Saturday, the 15th, at 10 p.m. Eastern, for the YouTube Model Builders Live. I will be on there, along with Big Bill Graham, and I'm not sure who else is supposed to be on there yet, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. And, you know, like I said, I really appreciate the feedback that I've gotten on that. Now the next big thing is going ahead and getting to the point where I can tear this one down and actually start building the new one. That's going to be a little bit yet, and not to mention the fact, and somebody actually asked me, and in fact I think it was touched on in the last vlog as well, you know, what about industries and things of that nature? Well, that is going to go on that piece of paper right there. That piece of paper is the basement as it sits today. So that's that there is to scale. That's 1 inch, a foot to an inch, I think it is. So that's a fairly large. Obviously, it's 6 pieces of graph paper plus a little extra, so it'll fit on there. But you know, that's the next point, is to break out the template and bring over the drafting board and actually start drafting it out. That'll be the next big project of mine, drawing it out and coloring it in and getting the elevations and things of that nature, because I've got these things running through my head. I want to take some of the... It's one of those things I remembered hearing from that fellow that did the Boston and Maine, did a division of the Boston and Maine. He went ahead and it was basically, and I think a lot of modelers are starting to do this these days, and it's called proto-lancing, where you're taking some of the prototypical stuff and then throwing in your own little twists and turns and things of that nature, because, you know, let's be perfectly honest, none of us has the room to even build or be able to follow a moderate size layout or train line. You know, even a small portion of one is you know, is ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and model a port, and that's all you model, well, yeah, then a space like this that I've got, heck, you could damn near, pardon my French, sorry, you could darn near, that slipped. You could darn near model the whole port of Baltimore down here, but that'd be all you could model. I mean, you wouldn't be able to build anything else. So, you know, I mean, you have to take that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. And if anybody has heard of or actually seen There was a railroad that used to run down here in central Maryland called the Maryland and Pennsylvania. There's very little of it left. In fact, I think the only part of it is up in York, Pennsylvania, and it's now owned by the Genesee and Wyoming Company. So it's not even a short line anymore. I think it serves like maybe one or two industries, and that's it. So if you wanted to model that, you could. Another good case in point is what Barry from YouTube Model Builders had the club that he's a part of, the Strasburg Model Railroad Club. You know, they modeled the whole line, and it took up 60 feet. And that's a point to point. I mean, that's literally, you know, Strasburg to Paradise and back. It's a fairly short railroad, and I think there is probably some sand compression into that as well. I could be wrong, Barry. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but you know, you can't put everything down here. I mean, you can't put everything you want into it. So you have to make amends. You have to compromise. So what I'm going to do, as far as this proto-lancing that I'm thinking about doing, is there's an area down here right off of 695 that everybody called Luskin's Hill. Well, anybody that's from around the area knows that Luskin's was a furniture company years ago, and they had a showroom on top of a hill right off of 695. Well, the strange thing of it is that at one point before 695 went through, the Maryland and Pennsylvania actually crossed that. The right-of-way went through there. So what I'm thinking about doing is actually recreating that on my layout, calling it Weichert Hill, and having a highway that kind of curves into the backdrop, and actually have the railroad go over top of it. It's going to be a little bit, I think it's going to be kind of tough to do, but I'm going to give it a shot, and that's the reason why I want to put it on the piece of paper back here first to see if it's even feasible. If I can pull it off, I think the effect's going to be amazing. If I can't, then I can't, and who knows. But that's one of those things, to try and give this railroad a place to sit. You know, even though, you know, I said, okay, I've got my south yard, my south hidden yard is Richmond, Virginia, my north hidden yard is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Well, you don't see either of those two places. They're off the grid. So the only thing you see is basically the Boeville and Newtown's main line as it goes from Boeville in through New Bolshide, Weichert Hill, Newtown, and then into the backdrop. At least that's the way it's going to be once it's built. Ain't there yet. But that's the thing. So you know, you have to give your railroad a place. You have to give it something that people recognize. And I think that's that Luskin's Hill is one of those things that people are going to be, I've seen that before. Where have I seen that? The only difference is it's not going to be, like I said, it's not going to be the railroad as it was on the hill or on the side of the hill, because it takes it too far back. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the beltway through it, and you know, and like I said, I'll give it a place and a point in time, or a place in time. So that's the idea. We'll see if I can pull it off. Obviously, you've seen my layout, and you know, this thing was built, what, 10 years ago now? And of course, my modeling from way back when to when I started playing around to where I got to this point, I've gone farther than I ever imagined I would. And I've still got a lot to learn, and I've still got a lot of room to grow. And I've mentioned in previous vlogs, this was really a test bed. Yeah, I went full force on a test bed, but I had ideas, and I wanted something that fit the space that I had, which was only 13 feet by 11 feet. And I think I achieved that. The problem is now with all the equipment that I've got sitting over here and the things that I want to do, this just isn't going to cut it anymore. It's beyond. I've gone beyond it. I've grown beyond it. So we'll see what happens to the next level. You know, we'll see. You guys and gals will get a chance to see this thing. You know, I'll probably take some pictures during deconstruction and reconstruction, and we'll see how things turn out. But It's going to be a little while. I can tell you that much. With my daughter going off to college and things of that nature, it's going to be a while before I'm really ready to dive into this thing. But speaking of prototype, I mentioned I've got all these, locomotives from most of the eastern seaboard railroads. That's what I like. That's what I've known. And of course, the purist would be like, well, that didn't run this far south. Okay, case in point would be maybe the New Haven, the Delaware and Hudson. They may have not run this far south. Well, that's fine. The thing of it is what I'm doing, or what I'm thinking about is, like I said, the Boeville and Newtown's a short line. And what it is as railroads retired some of their locomotives, instead of the Boeville, which was the B&N, being, as it is in real life, strapped for money, basically went ahead and, decided, hey, look, we'll take your old locomotives, and they just haven't been repainted. So, when this thing's rebuilt, you're going to see, New Haven, you're going to see, Delaware and Hudson, and Erie, Lackawanna, and Pennsylvania, and things of that nature. So you're going to see a wide spray of different railroads, and that's what I want. It's just my thoughts, and it's, basically what it is. And the other thing, too, with it being a subsidiary of the Chesapeake and Ohio, Baltimore and Ohio, Western Maryland Chessie system, the other thing that would happen, and will be happening, obviously, because I've got quite a bit of Chessie stuff. One of Boeville's main purposes is as a locomotive repair facility. Sounds a little odd, but that's what it's going to be. So, as these locomotives come in, they go ahead and they get stored and cleaned up, whatever needs to be done, and they get sent back out on their merry way back to their parent railroad. So that's the plans. I mean, it's like I said, I want to do something a little bit different, namely because I'm different. And if you hadn't figured that out by now, I'm a rare bird. But, the other thing that I was thinking about the other day, too, is there might be a small, steam facility there as well, for storing some of the old steam locomotives. Now, they may just be stored and viewed, almost like a museum type of deal. I don't know if I may have them run through like a fan trip or something like that every once in a while or something. But, here again, it's just, they're there. Which brings me to one other really quick point, because there was some talk about this, was my hidden yards. Obviously, they're not that big. Well, that was another compromise. I have no way of turning locomotives. I have no way of turning trains around to send them back in the direction that they just came from. My thought is to build drawers, storage area underneath of the layout, to be able to take, as trains come in to the yard, they get broken down and they'll get put away. If you've seen me digging into my boxes of stored rail cars, I've got these nice egg crate foam bases in there that take they take very good care of the cars and locomotives. That's what I'm thinking about doing with these sort of drawers, I guess. I don't really want to touch everything all the time, but again, it was a compromise. One of the things that I was thinking about the other day, and of course this is all foresight, is, okay, if you're going to use car card system, how are you going to be able to determine what's where if it's all underneath the layout? That's a good point. Here again, with the car card system, you usually have a trough with all the car cards sitting in there, and they have the waybills, and I'm planning on using the 4-cycle waybills once I get there. And again, what it would be is, as a session ends, you go through and you turn all the cards over to their next session, to the next cycle. And that would determine what train they're going to be on, and there's going to be, just like I have today, I have a sheet of paper that has a schedule to it that says, okay, this runs then, this runs now, so I can do some switching for this layout. The only unfortunate thing is everything is in Boeville Yard, and everything is kind of switched out of it. So, it's a drawback, but that's the way it is. So, that's, like I said, that's more information on the plans. Again, you know, here it is. I've been in here babbling for 15 minutes already. Did you expect anything less? So, remember, here again, YouTube Model Builders Live, Saturday. Like I said, I believe that's the 15th, 10 p.m. Eastern. Log in. I'll be on there. You can go ahead and throw more darts at me or whatever it is that you want to throw at me. And I know Walt World's been sitting there drumming up drumming up business for it as well. He sent a shout out. Thank you, Walt. Honestly, I think Walt's lost his marbles, and I even mentioned that after his last video. But that's beside the point. That's my buddy out there. So, you know, it's 16 minutes in. You all know the deal. You wait for the high ball. Green tracks ahead. Be safe out there. God bless. We'll catch you later. See ya.